4 years with Bruce Cassidy, like, definitely asking me this as a 34-year-old versus a 21-year-old, my perspective has changed on Bruce. He was tough. Like as a rookie, I get traded from the Avs where I'm a high draft choice. I'm getting given NHL opportunity just because of my draft status. Whether I was good enough or not didn't matter. That's how it goes. We know that. Whether I deserved the call up or not, I was the first call. It's just how it went in Colorado. I get traded to Boston. I get sent down. Bruce is my coach for the next, 4 years. And it was difficult. I mean, he's a difficult guy to work with, honestly. And he was. He's eating my wedding ring now, but,
hungry little fella.
Yeah, exactly. He's a growing boy, he's only one. So, we definitely had our battles, he was, dealing with him on a person-to-person level at times was challenging, but I also probably have the wherewithal now to realize like the role that I played in all that. And I was 21, I was cocky, I was arrogant, thought I had the world by the balls. I thought I had played only a few in the games in the American League before I played my first couple in the NHL, and I was like, oh, like this isn't that. You almost get this like false sense like this isn't that hard.
Yeah, right.
But like you had a long career and the hardest thing to do is not make it, it's stay.
Yeah.
And that's where I totally screwed up because I took my foot off the gas and I worried more about, arguing, not necessarily arguing, but just being combative with Bruce for 4 years and not just like listening and being a little more easygoing. And what I will say about Butch, as much as, like I said, we had our moments, we battled, if you do what he tells you to do, it works. Like he's as good an X and O's coach as I've ever had or seen. Wow. Tactically, in-game adjustments. Hey, we're playing this team. We're in a playoff series in the American League against Hershey, and like they're better. But if we do this, we'll win. We did it. We won. Like he is that good. Yeah. Like as far as in-game adjustments goes, like I think Bruce Cassidy is as good as any coach in the NHL right now. I really do. He's like a savant, right? Like he can see what's happening in the game in real time and make adjustments, which, guys, I'm between the benches for a lot of games in the NHL and like it's chaotic. You're right in it. And like sometimes it's hard to see these things. He sees everything. He doesn't even need the video. And so, you take sort of the interpersonal stuff and you weigh it with how good he is. And that's why I think he continues to get hired. I think that the players ran him out in Boston. Yeah. I really do believe that's what happened because I believe those types of coaches do have a little bit of a shelf life, like that voice kind of grows old. I've heard it about Hitch. I've heard it about other guys. I've heard JR talk about funny Hitchcock stories. Yeah. You're laughing, so you know the stories I'm talking about, especially with the bagel. The blueberry. Oh, jeez. So I think
can't go there.
That's the worst. That's the worst kept secret in hockey. Wow. But so yeah, like I really do. I that's And I think a lot of guys would probably agree with that when it comes to Bruce. Is Butchie, as we all have called him, is like. He's a great guy to go have a beer with. You want to learn about hockey, like go talk to him. Like when Vegas would come to Chicago this year, I would always track him down because I just like felt like if I got 5 minutes with him and I was like, what's going on with your team? Tell me about some of these players. I would learn. And I will say this, a lot of the terminology that I use within my like broadcast lingo is stuff that I learned from him. It's stuff he said. It's stuff that he taught because again, like it's right. It's good, and I've incorporated that into the way I break down the game. So, I know that was a long answer, but like I said, if you asked me about him as a 21-year-old, I would have been like, he's a prick. And that would have been the end of my conversation. But I think my perspective on it has all changed. And I think that I'm not surprised to see him having the success that he's having in Vegas. And I think that winning a cup for him will be a good thing. But I also know like he'll win the cup and then he'll enjoy it for a few hours and then he'll start being grumpy towards like winning another, like it's just how he's wired.
It's interesting you say that because a lot of guests we have and just players we know, all of us, it's funny how when they speak about former coaches, even Mike Keenan, guys that wanted to literally wring this guy's neck, choke him out. Now they're like looking back.
Yeah.
Maybe, so it's interesting as you guys were players, because I was on the other side of it where like I got to be buddies with the coach and I got to be, you guys are my guys, but, a lot of guys come to my office and vent, this fucking guy, like what? And I'm like, well,
you're like a therapist.
I'm trying to, he's, this and that or whatever. But it's interesting that you say that, because now looking back, like you said, as you're a little older, you kind of understand it all.
Well, the other thing too, you mentioned and acknowledged it. Like, when you're a young guy, you don't have clear perspective on the situation environment you're in, right? Like, you only know your situation and you think that like the world revolves around you almost, right? I seen this when I was coaching the Phantoms. You get these young guys that come in and like they're drafted and they think that they're automatically on the team, they automatically get ice time. And then it lands up being exactly what you alluded to, is that like you almost become your own worst enemy because you're spending that energy worrying about him, and you're essentially a mirror. The way you respond is how they're going to respond back to you. And those types of guys you're not going to win with ever. If you butt heads with them, they'll bury you.
Never.
They'll bury you. And I've seen this, the Mike Keenans of the world, and I think Torts is kind of like that. And back in the day,
they go right to the GM. Hey, this guy's being difficult. I can't stand, because they don't want to deal with it.
Yep.